Hi guys, and welcome back to Blind Strike Exotics. Today we are in the snake room, and I am going to take you through a couple of the tubs with my females that are either getting ready to lay, are hopefully going through ovulation, or are hopefully getting close to ovulation. So let's take a look. So I wanted to start off with a couple females that I already had lay for me. Snow White Snake was the first female I had lay for me this year. Huddled up back there in the warm spot. She's not overly plump anywhere. She's just coiled up trying to keep warm. She actually looks like she's turning a little pink, so she may be getting ready to shed soon. It's really easy to tell on the blue eye leucistics because they're so white. But you know, she's just a kind of a normal cylinder tube shape for a ball python. Nothing crazy going on with her body shape. And Annie here, who is my lemon blast, she is back on food and had a huge meal 2 weeks ago. So she might have a little bit of a lump, but her body shape is still just pretty cylindrical here. Nothing crazy going on, no lumping. She's not overly swollen anywhere. Just a basic, normal female ball python. Hissy Elliott here, as you can see, I just kind of marked it with tape that she shed on June 29th, a couple days ago. This would be the pre-lay shed, so she should lay her eggs within 30 days or so of her pre-lay shed. And the typical behavior that you see from these girls after that happens is they're going to coil up like this and heat seek. So they'll be at the back side of the tubs or into the hot spot. They start getting a lot more firm in their bellies. I don't know if you typically see lumping at this point, but they're just overall more swollen, you know, from this section of their body back. But they're definitely hugging the hot side back there, and they're usually, from what I've seen so far, usually coiled up, hanging out in the back there. But she's definitely, hopefully, lays a good clutch of eggs for me. She's a nice sized girl. She was bred to my Super Mojave male, and I didn't have a bunch of Bell females this last season when I started breeding. So my male, Super Mojave, he is possibly also a banana, Enchi, and fire. So I wanted to try to prove him out. So I bred him to my lemon blast. So at least I got eggs out of that clutch. Hopefully some of those genes prove out. I also bred him to this girl. I really like the black pastel banana combos, so hopefully he does prove out to be banana. But she should lay here in the next 30 days or so. Now this girl I just actually got in a couple days ago. She's a Mojave and Enchi combo. And she's actually due to lay within the next 10 to 14 days or so. As you can see, she is humongous. She's a big girl to begin with. But she is super swollen. Very, very firm. Sometimes you can see the lumping. There looks like there might be an egg right there. I haven't really played with her a whole lot because I didn't want to bother her or disrupt her, especially because she was just shipped to me. But she is huge, and as you can see, she's coiled up pretty tight, and she is hugging the back where the heat is. The one thing I paid close attention to with Annie, my lemon blast, is that towards the end, towards the last couple of days, she was feeling really uncomfortable, and she was like kinking herself up and laying inverted and just like really acting like she was uncomfortable, and she laid within maybe 3 days of that. So I'm gonna look for that again with this girl. She still seems like she's somewhat comfortable in her pregnancy phase, but she's definitely coiled up like she's ready to pop out a bunch of eggs. She was bred to a Coral Glow black pastel. So there are some pretty neat combos that can come out of that as well, which I am excited about. Now, Baby Butter here, she is a super butter, super pastel. So she is a blue eye leucistic. You can't see the super pastel on her, but both of her parents were super pastel, so that's how you know. So she'll at least carry the butter and pastel gene when she's bred. And she was bred to the super Mojave male, who is actually back there right now. I guess they... Now, I typically just keep matching them up throughout the season until I know they ovulate, just to be sure the eggs get fertilized. What she's doing here is called bull wrapping, and that is typically seen... people believe it's when they try to keep their body temperature down a little bit to cool them down, like pre-ovulation. She also has a lot of lumping, as you can see right here. She's very lumpy. It kind of almost looks like she has kinks all throughout her body, and that's typical when they are starting to build follicles. So I'm still going to keep pairing her up with the male until I see that she ovulates. But this is a really good sign that she's actually going to keep building and ovulating, and hopefully in a couple months here she's laying eggs for me. This pair is going to produce butter Mojaves, pastel, I guess pastavi butters. So they'll be all white snakes, and they will also carry the pastel gene, but they will all look like her almost. They'll be the Mojave butter combo. They won't have the darker heads like the dad. Some people kind of think that the butter gene is just a different line of the lesser gene. So kind of like they'll produce the lesser Mojave combos, which is what Snow White Snake is. And she is, well, as you can see from her, she doesn't have any color on her head either. She's almost perfectly white. Her eyes are a little smaller than a normal ball python, and that's sort of a genetic anomaly with super butters. But it doesn't affect her at all. She's in perfect health. She eats well. She actually has a great temperament. She's very, very, very laid back. Now, Mrs. Buttersworth here is actually Baby Butter's mom. She is a super pastel butter. And this is what she looks like when you just have one copy of the butter gene and the super pastel. I have also been pairing her up with the super Mojave male. I've really just kind of been bouncing him back and forth between actually the mom and the daughter. Out of this combo, they can produce butter Mojaves. Not guaranteed like it is when you produce with the super butter. And at the very least, they'll produce pastaves, which are pastel Mojaves, and she's a super pastel and he's a super Mojave. She was bull wrapping a couple days ago. I'm hoping that she ovulates. She's not showing any of the telltale signs. She's not bull wrapping now. She's not super lumpy or super swollen anywhere along her body. She's not laying inverted. She's not kind of twisted up and in agony. So I'm going to keep watch over her over the next couple days and weeks. If it turns out that I don't see any of those typical behaviors, I'll probably stop pairing her up and just get her back on food so that she's ready for next season. I probably will not pair her with Super Mojave again, because after getting in that big female Mystic Potion and the Mystic Crystal, I really don't want to pair him up, the Super Mojave male, up to more than like 4 females. So I don't know who I'll pair her up to. I do have a lesser, super pastel lesser spot nose het clown male, and that might be a good pairing. There'll be possible het clowns. I'll get possible bell combos out of it, and I'll definitely get super pastel babies for sure, since both parents are super pastel. But we will wait and see on her. Now, Chicky here is a pastel het pied female, and I was pairing her up as well, but she definitely, either we missed ovulation on her, or she just never ovulated. So I actually got her back on food this week, and which I'm happy about. I'm going to start, just feeding her, getting her back up to weight. Because she's had pied, and I recently acquired a pied female, I'm actually going to pair her up this next season. I'm going to have to find myself a nice pied male, and I'm going to see if I can prove out whether or not she's... I think she's actually possible het pied, not het pied. So I'm going to try to prove her out and see if we can get any pieds out of here and prove her out. But she's a nice size, just plain pastel female. I have another black pastel female that I just acquired, and her name is Missy Elliott, and she is, I guess, the doppelganger to Hissy Elliott. Now, I believe as I got her, she actually was going through ovulation when I got her in this week. She was super swollen. Let me see if I can get her to come out a little bit to see if we can see that. Her body here is super swollen, and it really narrows out. I'm hoping that she was ovulating when I purchased her. The previous owner said he was expecting an ovulation from her like any day, and it looks to me like she is going through that process. She's super thick. So I'm going to be watching for a shed from her in the next month or so, and if that does come true, then 30 days after that I will be expecting a clutch of eggs. She was also bred to the same coral glow black pastel that the Mojave Enchi was bred to, so that can get you super black pastel. It can get us coral glow black pastel. The super black pastel would be a great combo to get, especially if there's some coral glow in that as well. But she's a big girl. I hope she ovulates, or did ovulate, and we'll see her shed soon. But she's definitely very swollen, very firm, and she's very angry at me right now. And two of the other females that I just picked up are the Mojave and the Mocha. They actually laid eggs for the previous owner about 3-4 weeks ago. And as you can see from their body shape, they are back on food, but they're definitely a little deflated from what they were, beforehand. As you can see, their bodies are just kind of really very, very thin, very cylindrical. There are no lumps. There's no, big swelling in any single areas of their body, which is what, a normal female will look like if they're not being bred. I don't know if you noticed, as I was showing you around, these little clips I have on the tubs. They just kind of tell me where these, I do them with all the snakes, but where these girls are in the process of whether they're in breeding season, or they're eating or not eating. Green means that they ate this week. Yellow here means that they didn't eat for me this week. White means that they are in the process of being bred. And those basically just kind of stay on there the whole season. What I do with these clips is I kind of flip them back and forth week to week. So if they eat this week, they'll be on one side, and if they eat the following week, I switch it to the other side of the tub so that I can kind of figure out which week I'm on. Annie ate a huge meal last week, so I didn't feed her again this week, so I left her clip on the left hand side there. But Snow White Snake, she didn't eat for me last week, so she had a yellow clip over on the left side here, and she did eat for me this week, so I moved a green clip over onto the right side. So it's visually an easy way to tell where you're at in the process of feeding some of these snakes. You can keep a spreadsheet too. I do that for weight. I keep their weight that way. I weigh them usually once a month, and I keep their clutches in spreadsheets, but for feeding purposes, this is easier since it's something I do every week. I have a couple of my younger females here. They're clown females, which I'll show you in another video. They are still, I purchased them maybe a month ago. They're still not eating for me after about a month. So I am putting a red clip on their tubs to signify that they haven't eaten for me in more than a couple weeks, which is not a good sign. Basically that usually means they're still under a lot of stress. So I try to leave them alone, not play around in their tubs too much, just make sure they have fresh water, make sure they're not dirty. This girl here, I got 4 clown females from a local breeder, and she's the one who's taken a meal. She didn't take one this week, but she ate every other week for me, but the other one hasn't eaten either. I have a clown male, a leopard clown male up here that has been eating for me great. So we're working on them, but I put red clips on there to signify that they haven't eaten, and it's kind of a caution flag for me. So that is a quick look into some of the females I have that I've been breeding this season that have laid for me or that will be laying very soon. I'll update you guys on the 2 females that I know are going to lay eggs. As soon as they lay eggs, I'll show their clutch. I'll pull the clutch, I'll candle the eggs, and I'll show you how I get them into the incubator. And then I will update you on the other females as well if I see that they're ovulating and going into their pre-lay shed. I also showed you guys how I quickly keep tabs on whether or not the snakes are eating. I do that for all my snakes, whether they're breeder females or hatchlings. Hatchlings, I actually usually keep a piece of tape on it, and I write down the exact date that they're eating because they usually eat more often than once every week to 2 weeks, usually every 5 days. So I keep tape on there so I can physically write it on there. But everything that's a half a year or older, where they're eating once a week, I just keep the clips on there. So green means they ate this week, the past week. Yellow means they didn't, and red means they haven't eaten for a couple weeks. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and please remember to like and subscribe. Take care.